I'm of two minds when it comes to Mario Kart 8. On the one hand, it does little to innovate or shift the series in a new direction. But put that Wii U gamepad in my hands and I can't help but have a blast with the game. I don't have a lot of experience with the series outside of the DS release from 2005, and perhaps that contributes to my appreciation for Mario Kart 8. I love the game's assortment of new and old tracks, and the crisp HD visuals allow the game's color and vibrancy to really shine. Best of all, it feels like the new installment puts a greater emphasis on skill. Don't get me wrong, Mario Kart 8 still teeters back and forth between being fun and absolutely infuriating. I'm looking at you, Blue Shell. But this time around, it's far easier to hold on to a commanding lead, which enhances the online multiplayer. Local multiplayer is where Mario Kart 8 really excels, though. There's nothing quite like throwing a red shell at your best friend, or should I say, former best friend, and then shooting them an intense death stare. And speaking of death stares, I almost forgot about the best part.
They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty, 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 trying to catch me riding dirty. My music's so loud.
I used to be a big fan of South Park, but I don't enjoy watching the show as much as I used to. Creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone still know how to be funny, though. Just take a look at E3 from a couple years ago.
Oh, hi. How many times have you been watching an episode of South Park and thought, I'd like to be able to watch this on my television while hooked into my mobile device, which is being controlled by my tablet device, which is hooked into my oven, all while sitting in the refrigerator?
If the Stick of Truth is any indication, the video game format gives Parker and Stone new inspiration and allows them to right the wrongs of some absolutely terrible South Park games from years past. The game's synthesis of satire and more juvenile subject matter demonstrates the strength of South Park's humor and should appeal to all fans of the show. In fact, it's not just the writing that makes the Stick of Truth a love letter to fans. The art style, the characters, the frequent references, both obvious and obscure, all of it feels deliberate and meticulous. The Stick of Truth is a game that knows its audience through and through. It also helps that the game itself is fun to play thanks to developer Obsidian Entertainment. The turn-based combat doesn't revolutionize the RPG genre, but its focus on timing and different characters makes for a thoroughly engaging experience for the entirety of its 10 to 12 hour playtime. Bastion was one of my favorite games of 2011, but I don't recall loving it as much as I do Transistor. The sophomore effort from Supergiant Games features a weaker story with deals in confusion more so than emotional weight, but I still couldn't put the game down. I beat it twice and got the Platinum Trophy in the span of a week. I can forgive Transistor's slightly disappointing narrative because the combat system and upgrade options are fantastic. As someone who loves games like Valkyria Chronicles and XCOM, I appreciate Transistor's shift to a far more strategic system in which patience and planning are rewarded. The turn function feels both familiar and novel, and makes for an experience that emphasizes the importance of mechanics and structure in game design. The seemingly endless number of upgrade combinations only improves on that structure, as I spent plenty of time in menus mixing and matching various functions in an effort to find the perfect setup. It's ultimately what pushed me forward and resulted in an immediate New Game Plus playthrough. And I can't talk about Transistor and not mention the game's presentation. The city of Cloudbank shrouds itself in vibrant colors which mask its seedy underbelly. It's a beautifully realized environment that helps Transistor establish strong atmosphere and tone. As for the music, go buy the game's soundtrack now. Trust me. I know a lot of people find Dark Souls 2 disappointing in the wake of the original game, and I agree that the sequel doesn't live up to all its expectations, but it still provides that unique Souls experience that I get from no other game, and also differentiates itself enough in the process. Most of what I love about the Souls series is still there: responsive mechanics, challenging but fair difficulty, gigantic bosses, the list goes on. And though I prefer the interconnected world of Dark Souls, the many branching paths in Dark Souls 2 and the ability to warp between bonfires immediately provides a different take on exploration that I appreciate. From Software limits the player more in Dark Souls 2 with the revamped Estus Flask system and reduced player movement in the opening hours of the game. It proves frustrating at times, but it also reinforces the importance of defense. I felt like I became a better Souls player after finishing the sequel because of those limitations. even if I question some of the specific design decisions. Also, have you guys played New Game Plus yet? There are new enemies in there. I mean, right when you spawn for the first time, you're being attacked. I still have yet to finish a second playthrough, but I both love and hate you From Software. The first half of 2014 has been a local multiplayer renaissance. There's Nidhogg, Sports Friends, even Mario Kart 8, which already made an appearance. But the game that stands out most to me is Towerfall Ascension. It may seem like an odd choice for the top spot, especially since it first came out last year on the Ouya, but the beauty of making my own list is that I get to make the rules as well, so I'm focusing on the PS4 and PC releases. Towerfall appears simple on the surface. It's a competitive archery game in which you shoot arrows at your opponent. Sounds straightforward enough, but the game's brilliance lies in its hidden depth. After playing for hours and hours, players learn complex strategies and map out the intricacies of each individual level. Every single match becomes more and more intense, and in turn, Towerfall becomes more than just a fun party game. Depth also exists outside of the combat. There are secret worlds, hidden codes, and unlockable characters to discover. Just when I thought I'd seen it all, I'd encounter some new mystery. Towerfall Ascension really is the gift that just keeps giving. The 2014 release also includes a new quest mode, which is surprisingly fun. My brother and I conquered those obstacles on normal difficulty and had a blast doing so. It reminds me of when we would always play games together when we were younger. Any game that triggers that kind of nostalgic response in me deserves special attention.